All right. This project here is a piece of walnut, sapwood crotch. You can you can kind of tell that the tree would have grown up here and then split into two branches. This piece has got a lot of mold. It's been sitting down in this barn for quite some time, drying. I used to try turning it on this chuck, which is really too small, so I had to wait until I could afford something bigger. Here I've got a Axminster Evolution chuck with jumbo Titan jaws or something. This is solid. It's got to weigh at least 5 pounds, whereas these guys are just smaller Pinnacle chucks. I've overworked them a lot, and I might be overworking this lathe a little bit. I was able to afford last year this outrigger setup. I've got a little shop made straight bar. I used a piece of iron at the bottom, attached it to the 1-inch post, got the 1-inch. So let's see how this goes. It's been a while. You can see that there's quite a bit to turn. It'll probably be pretty unbalanced to start. What I want to do is take off some of this back and make a new spigot for the larger chuck, which is around 5 inches. This is 4.5 or so. And the reason why I really needed a bigger chuck too is because I needed. What I do is I finish the back side and then leave a dovetail recess in the base. And what I try to do for a base is keeping the base at 1/3 the diameter of the bowl or the platter, and I couldn't do that because I had a smaller chuck. That would have been, so this one being at least 20 inches, I'm really going to have to, increase that, that base to closer to 7 inches, which I'll be able to get close to with that chuck, but not with that chuck. So here I go. I just set up my grinder. That was out of commission for a while. My dad fixed that. I got my David Ellsworth gouge all sharpened up and ready to go. And let's get to some turning. I'm definitely gonna wear respiratory protection because of all this mold in here, and protect myself from breathing in that mold. And let's see if this thing doesn't fly apart or stay together, and hopefully it doesn't wobble too much. So my Nova 162444, I've got it spinning at 174 or 178 RPMs right now. It's the lowest that it goes. You can see the wobble. I got to turn out of it, but it seems to be pretty safe. I'm gonna get started. Okay, so here we are. Got a couple small knots. This is big crack, part of the pith of one of the crotches here. So I'm going to lose a decent sized diameter of this bowl. I'm going to lose a couple inches because I got to turn that out. So what I'm going to do now, I've got a recess in here. I just typically take out just enough because I leave the final shaping until I really see what the minimal part is that I can work with. You can see the rings here, no cracks here. There's another pith, and then where's it? And then here's the other pith. So there's actually 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 piths because it's a crotch. So, widthwise, I'm going to have to turn it back here and then lose a couple inches. And I want to do that, I think, from the inside. Right now I've got everything turned so it's all pretty smooth. So I'm going to put my heavier Revolution chuck on there and switch it around. Turn a spigot on the inside for the Revolution chuck, turn out any irregularities, and then flip it back over and determine the size of the bottom of the bowl, finish it, and then flip it around and finish out the inside. You'll see, well, I'll have to show you when I get there, but the crotch figures should look pretty good in this one. Okay, so here we are. I've turned this side of the crotch. I took out that crack for the most part, all except the, maybe some on this back side. So this is planing out pretty good. This is a little out of turn now with this side, so I'll flip this around and grab this spigot. What I'm going to do first, though, is getting a lot of tear out. This is dry wood. Typically, the dry wood's going to cut a little harder. I don't have a high speed on here right now, and, it's just punking it out. So what I'm going to do, usually I use mineral oil. I don't have any in the shop right now. What I do have is some cutting board oil. Basically what that's going to do is it's going to get into the grain. It's going to soften it up so that when the blade goes to cut it, it'll soften the fiber so they cut a little easier. And so I'll flip it around, cut this side, finish this side, put a lot of oil on this side, get it all damp, and then flip it around again. So I'm going to finish this bottom, hopefully to sanding. So I'm just going to coat it with oil, but it's going to look nice already. So this piece right here is the prime example of why I like crotch wood. The figure, this walnut, has a real deep contrast between where it met at the sapwood and further down the crotch. It's all oiled up, soaking in. I'm going to put the jaw chuck on the front side, turn the back, finish it, and then flip it around and finish the front and see what she looks like. So at this point, when I'm ready to start my final turning, two things that I want to do is really make the tool sharp, number one, and number two, prep the wood and make sure it's ready to be cut. So that's with the oil. A lot of times I'll use wax as well when I start spinning at a little higher speed, which I'll probably do here after I make a few cuts, is really get it warm, holding the cloth up to it with the oil, wax, getting the wax deep into the grain. I usually just like to do something simple with mineral oil and paraffin wax. Cutting board's fine. I really don't get into anything too special here. And I like to keep it clean, something you can eat off of, something that's non-toxic. A lot of the finishes out there are toxic, so that's why I like to use mineral oil. So here you can see the difference that it's making with the wood that's real dry and had some tear out. That's some tear out deep grains from earlier. It's just cutting a lot cleaner. It'll be a lot easier to sand. This is the side that needs to be turned, perfect with the other side. Here's an example. You can see how rough it is here and how much finer it is here. And that's without higher speeds. It's just a sharp tool and adding something to soften the wood, like a mineral oil or the cutting board oil. Okay, so here I am. Turned it out. I might make one shave cut just to smooth out these edges before I sand. I decided to make a bead in the back here on the underside, in case you're picking it up. It'll give you a little something, plus a little decorative. Something simple. I'm going to go for nice and smooth, shallow bowl on the inside. It's probably within 3/4 of an inch, probably about 1/2 inch up here. So I've got my bottom turned. It's pretty flat right now. It's kind of rough. It's always tough for me to get this bottom side real smooth. I got to work pretty hard on that. I might take a drill to it with a sanding pad. But other than that, pretty much ready to sand. Just in case I need to make some more cuts to smooth it out and get rid of some ridges. I'm going to, oil it up so that I don't have much tear out. Hopefully no accidents. And, that's where she is right there. That's the bottom side. And here's more of a profile for you. here we are, sanded to about 80 grit. Pretty smooth texture already with 80. I did have some issues sanding like I always do. Sometimes I got to work out, you know, a little edge or something. Not much, but it does take a decent amount of work if you want it to turn out looking right. I had to redo this bottom a couple times. That's real flat and smooth. One of the things that I do in addition to hand sanding is I've got this. I forget what kind of foam this is, but I attached it with glue or some sort of heavy adhesive a long time ago to this, and then I took you know, just some rubber from a craft store, sliced it, and then glued it to that. I think this is like some sort of a seat mattress foam, open cell. So, and then I have a spray, you know, just some adhesive spray, and I spray that on the this part, and then I, you know, tear a piece of paper and you know, stick it on the end. It doesn't stay really tight, not as good as some of those hook and loop grips, but it works for me, and it's a lot cheaper, and I can just use regular sandpaper. At this point, you know, this is how I want it, and this is how it looks when it's all oiled up. And this is 80 grit. This isn't even, you know, I'll do 100, 150, 120, something like that, whatever type of sandpaper I have, and I'll go up to not much. I'll finish sand it with a 220, but it's gonna be a gorgeous piece. I'm gonna be pretty happy with it. I did lose a lot of diameter that I wanted to keep, but I don't know. Oh well, looks great to me. This side is done. I just sanded it down to a, I don't know, 200 grit or so. It's pretty smooth. Not too many blemishes or blowouts or anything. This was the side where you're going to see the most. The white grain really takes in the dark colors of the other darker sides of the wood, but it's real smooth. Just walnut finish is so nice once you get it smooth. It's so hard, and yeah, it's beautiful. So that's that. I'll put the chuck on the other side, turn it around, and move on, baby. Move on. All right, I'm back on the front side. Back's done and turned. Looking to the front side, you can see some of the grain, but I'm actually turning a lot of that grain out, which is unfortunate. Next time, if I was to do it over, I would turn more of the bottom out and not make it such a, I mean, it is a shallow bowl, but it'll still be too deep for the grain. These platter type forms are a little tougher once they start flying and you get them thin. You know, they start vibrating. They react to the edge of the blade more. You got to be careful how you hold it. Plus, they just vibrate because it's thinner and it's so far away from where it's being turned, so it's pretty unstable. Not much keeping it from turning. So that's some real nice grain inside. Like I said, unfortunately, all that's going to end up getting turned out, and I'm not sure what we'll be left with. Probably not much of a crotch at all, except maybe here at this wider brim of the white. But keep moving, and we'll see what she looks like. Okay, just as I suspected, I turned most of the crotch area out, but I still have some figure in there, albeit you can't really see it too much. It does cause some colors. So you can see I've got some ridges and things I need to sand out, so I'm going to get to sanding that out, and this piece will be done. Okay, folks, there you have it. It's finished turned. You might be able to see a couple flaws in it, but I think it's pretty nice. Not really sure how big it is, maybe 18, 20 inches, probably 20 inches. I'll mess with the camera. So that's the front side, that's the back side. It's really light. It's pretty thin. Probably turned to 5/16 or so at the rim. 1/4 inch. And then probably gets to 5/8 to 3/4 at the very center. Yeah. There you have it. That is a crotch of a walnut tree. Now, it's pretty broad, almost scalloped. If I was to make it shallow, more shallow and closer, I'd see more rigid streaks, which I'll probably try to get on the next piece. But I like that. I like that contrast. It's got some nice figure to it. All right, and that's how you turn a walnut crotch, larger diameter, shallow bowl, almost serving platter, really. There you go. Enjoy.